Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I am speaking with Eric Erdman. He has just released a spectacular new album called Enough, and I'm super excited to have him on to get to talk to him all about it. Eric, I want to thank you seriously so much for being on today. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful, and the thanks goes to you, man. I appreciate you for letting me come talk about my new album. I'm excited to talk about it.
No, the thanks goes to you for putting everything behind this and making something that's really just great from start to finish.
We can
But
arm wrestle and see who's thanking who the most
I
in
I
regards
think
to.
we both win. We both win in the end. It's a stalemate. Um, well, we're speaking right now. It is May 27th and it is release day. So I first and foremost want to say congrats on this, man. Um,
Thank you.
and I want to dive right in and I'd love to ask you, what is this album all about? Is there one singular meaning through it, or is it a series of small stories?
It does lyrically. It is not a narrative end to end. I wasn't trying to tell a larger story, song to song to song, but it
Sure.
is a very honest, um, real thoughts that I had specifically over the last year or two, and the songs came about due to the COVID squashing all the touring, but that meant everybody was sitting still, which is
Right.
prime time to write.
Prime
So a
album
lot of
time.
collaborations I had been waiting on all came through, and so I had a big mountain of songs to choose from, and so these are my favorite. That was really difficult to choose the ones that to pick your favorites, but I think it was more of a musical continuity, if that makes any sense. I was trying to pick songs that felt good as an album, sonically more than lyrically.
Completely understand. I'm actually really happy that you brought that up because I feel that we're losing out on the album experience nowadays. Not that
Yeah,
it's a bad thing that the industry is heading more towards single streaming. It's just you got to go with the trends. But at the end of the day, really, this album shines the brightest from start to finish. You know what I mean? It's like you get entered in and it takes you on this journey. It's like a roller coaster. And I think that's one in part to the sound of it, but also due to the production. Did you
yeah.
have any help on the outside putting this all together, like the finishing touches?
Absolutely, and I'm with you on that, but not as an artist, but as a fan of music. I love it when
Absolutely.
there's a
Hmm.
collection that does
Yeah.
something bigger than the sum of its parts.
Right.
And yes, I had help with this. I've been friends with Chris Mara, who owns the studio Welcome to 1979 for years, and we had been talking about doing a project together. And
Sure.
I finally had the time, and I thought that was the place for it because it also has a really cool, funky, vibey sound. I was like, this collection should go through that process.
There you
And
go.
unfortunately, he was like he couldn't do it the 2 weeks that I had off tour to do it. So he said, I'm gonna put you with my right hand man. This guy produces all kinds of stuff. He also gets your vibe perfectly. And Justin Weaver, so he connected me with Justin, and we talked on the phone for like 4 hours. And I was like, I felt like it was my
There
brother
you
for
go.
2 decades. I was like, we talked about our previous recording experiences and producing experiences, and there's many ways to skin the cat, if you will. And it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
we do it exactly the same. Like, hey, how do you feel about overdubs? Like, well, I usually do them like this. Well, that's the same way that I do them.
Love it.
I mean, so it was like, I was like, this is going to be butter. And it was. And it was like the most fun, no stress. Just got in there and
Awesome.
played the songs. And I think that actually comes across in the final product, I hope, anyway.
I think it does. And see, that's the toughest part about production is it is finding your other half. I don't
Yeah.
think people realize that, like, knowing how to produce music, let alone vibing with someone on that level. It's like you have to speak the same language, and there's 1,000 different languages and there's 1,000 different ways of going about it. Kind of sounds like you found your match here, which is always, good
Yeah.
for down the line.
This is probably a stupid, horrible analogy, but when I was listening to you, I mean, it's clearly an art, like any art form, but it's
Yeah.
like it would be like being an elite tango dancer, and then somebody else is like elite break dancer. There's nothing wrong with those, but if you're saying
Same.
let's go
Yep.
dance, that's gonna be a
No, no,
little
no.
weird.
That
It
is the
might be
perfect
interesting,
analogy.
but it's kind of like that. You got to find somebody that's in your same lane,
Exactly. It's finding the same
unless
puzzle
you're just trying to
pieces.
get weird with it, which I'm cool with that too. But
I I mean, we could
that's a
talk
different
about
beast.
we could talk about what's coming up. I assume that there's an Eric Urban hip hop album on the way,
Um,
years down the line. But
you say that in jest, but there is actually some. I have during the quarantine when I was a younger man, I did a lot of freestyle rapping. I was in a funk band, and I would do a lot of
awesome.
rapping and stuff. So I got featured on a lot of hip hop tracks 20 years ago. Like it's been a long time ago.
Yeah.
But a producer in London I was working with, he was doing a lot of sync stuff for TV, and he said, I have all these hip hop beats, and I have a lot of rappers here, but they're doing that London grimy, which is cool. But they're doing that, and we really want some like American Southern outcasty whatever kind of thing. And he's like, would you be interested in doing that? And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. And then I was like, wait a minute, I'm sitting at home, it's quarantine, I'm gonna. So I did end up doing it. I had a blast doing it, to the point that I'm like, I don't think I want to release a hip hop album, but it was so much fun that I'm probably going to keep working with him to do some sync stuff, because why not?
Well, I'm glad I said something. I'm looking forward to, even if one song comes out, I'd check it out. Sounds amazing.
Well, you know what? I'll send you the link, but you can't share it.
That's fine. I'll keep it to myself. A little sneak preview. Well, that's amazing, man. And going, just like genre to genre here. Obviously, this album it's rooted in country music. You can feel that, and it hears like that. But there's also a ton of variation. Like it does sway back and forth. How did you go about creating the overall sound? Like, did you have the vision beforehand and try to play that out, or did it just happen towards the end?
Well, there's a very underknown music scene in Mobile, Alabama, but the generations before us were making this really beautiful, eclectic blend of bluesy, jazzy, country, rock thing, but it's none of those individual elements. It's like a different thing. It's a blended gumbo kind of thing, if you will. And that's just what we grew up listening to. And so that's what feels right. So I like all of those genres, and I like to write purely in those genres. But when I hear a song, I tend to just, my knee-jerk reaction is to come with some, blend of that. So
I get it.
I think, to answer your question, it's less of like we want it to sound like this. It's like these are my favorite 7 songs that I want to put out right now. And then because of the comfort in the studio and all those things, and my comfort with those songs and believing in them, it was easier for me to not think about it, to get out of the way. And then what happens just by nature is going to be whatever that blend is. So it's an indirect way to get there, but I think that's what happens.
No, it totally makes sense. Listen, at the end of the day, it's your music. You're the one putting the time and effort into it. You should make what you want to hear at the end of the day. So, I mean, I think together it all sounds great. And I mean, listen, country music is not always like at the forefront of my listening, but it's always there, and it's what I grew up on. It's what my parents had on in the car occasionally, and I find myself feeling a little bit nostalgic listening to this, just because it's got so many other influences. I even got a feeling of like James Taylor-esque, even on the opener track. Like
my number one biggest influence would be James Taylor.
Fully hear that, and it's obviously not a rip-off, but it's your own spin, and it's you finding your own niche in a wide sound.
One thing I really loved always about James's music is it's exactly what we were just talking about, where it's like, is he a country artist? I don't think so. Is he a
yes and no
American? Like who? Like you? That's what I mean, though. But it's like, I mean, he plays,
right. I think it depends on who you ask.
Man, that's just straight up playing like lounge jazz.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, that's not, and I don't mean that with any, negativity toward country or jazz or whatever, but it's like, I have thought about that before. Like, well, what genre are you like? Well, what genre do you put James? Like James Taylor never existed, and he came out right now. What do you call him? I guess, I mean, Americana, but that's
but that's
catch-all.
Right. Yeah, that is a catch-all. You can't really just, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'll have to ask him one day if I ever get the opportunity.
Yeah. But anyway, that's why I think I gravitated toward him, because just like the Mobile people that came before me, they had he has a much wider blend than I think people give him credit for stylistically.
You're right. Well, they know the hits. They don't know the deep cuts. right.
Yeah.
Another person I was heavily raised on. So you had mentioned that you obviously been working on this record for a couple of years now, and
Yeah.
it sounds like there's songs that didn't make the cut. Is that correct?
That's correct. I actually had so many songs that I decided to start doing a series called Fresh Song Friday.
Oh,
And so
okay.
what it is I knew even if I had a $2 million budget to go in and record 6 albums back to back, I still would have leftover songs that I think are worth, being heard. So I said, well, I'm just going to do a live version every
Mhm.
Friday of a previously unreleased song. And this is week 178 in a row. So I've been doing it. So
Shit. That's
yeah,
that's a lot of weeks. Well, did you ever have any plans to maybe take your favorites and put those on an album or get in the
every
studio?
song on this album was a Fresh Song Friday at some point.
Okay. So then the question becomes looking towards the future. Obviously, you have to ride the high of releasing this. As I
Yeah,
mentioned, we're
yeah.
talking on release day. But as an artist, you got to plan down the road. I assume you're not a one and done type person.
No, no.
So do you have
I
any
was in
plans, anything set in stone?
Nothing is set in stone, but I
Okay,
mean, I'm ready to record 2 more albums like right now. One
awesome.
of stuff that matches enough, and then I also have been working for years, kind of under on the sly, on an album where in French because I took French all throughout
Really?
school and I loved it, and that was always like a dream of mine.
Very
And
cool.
then through touring a lot, I finally have befriended enough French speaking artists like in Belgium or
Hmm.
France or wherever that might be. And we started collaborating and writing on stuff. And it's a much slower process for me because it's not just a matter of getting the grammar correct and all that, but it's just like there are certain things that they're like, that's beautiful and perfectly said with the right grammar, but like we would not say that. You have to say, like there's no way you can possibly know that unless you are
Sure.
inherently country. So
Right.
you have to go re-edit a lot. But anyway, so there
Makes
are
sense.
plans for multiple albums. I won't make them all weird. I'm not going to start doing a hip hop
No.
album, then a French album, then whatever. There'll be more albums like Enough coming, but I will also be doing these fun not. I don't even want to call them side projects, just other avenues.
Other not quite B-sides, but not quite
Yeah,
something. Well, I'm looking forward to it, whatever it might be. A French album sounds pretty interesting, but I know just yeah, they're very specific about their language to say the
yeah,
least. So
yeah.
that makes sense. Is there something that you look forward to the most when you're starting to record a song, let alone an album? Like from the dreaming it up to the writing to the recording to the production, all the way to clicking the submit button. Is there something that like makes it seem all worth it in the end along the course?
There's a lot that makes it seem worth it to me.
Good.
I mean,
Good answer.
really, that's just being honest. Like, I get up every day
Get it.
excited to write more songs. You know what I
For
mean? Like,
sure.
and it's because it's just like when you stick something that feel. I know, quote unquote, everything. It's all been done. It's all been said, or whatever. But no, it hasn't. Now it's been
No.
there's something. There's a new way to spin it, and then it's something else to say with put your little stamp on it and
Yes.
make it different. And when you find that it's so powerful and so like rewarding, especially when you can play it for a group of people and they get that feeling from it. Like to
Mhm.
me, that's the
That
magic.
makes it
Whenever
seem worth it.
when you play it and then everybody's like, "That's how I feel." I'm like,
Yep.
"Yes." So I was like,
I did it.
I did it. But if you're talking about strictly like through the process of recording an album, I think it's really cool because as a singer songwriter solo guy, I have some ideas about grooves, and I like to
Mhm.
produce stuff too. So I will
Sure.
direct the end or whatever, but I tend to not immediately direct them, except in places where I'm real, sternly. I would like this to groove like this, but that's only a few spots.
I understand.
Overall, I like to hire the people that I respect their musicality so much, and just kind of put it in the room and just see what they do because that's the reason why I chose them as opposed to somebody
Sure.
else. So I really get inspired on those moments because I'm like, I never envisioned this song in this way, and
Right.
it's like perfect. This is what it wanted to be, and I didn't know how to get it there without this group of people.
No, man, I totally get it. It's not just one thing, it's always a series of things, but it's a series of things that like kind of like gives you the spark in your life.
Yeah.
It's like you're doing it. You're an artist. You're making music, and not a lot of people wish that they could do that, but they just don't
Yeah.
know where to start. But you found it. Now it sounds like you've also been touring, like you've been playing shows.
Yep.
So is there anything coming up in the very near future that you'd like to plug as far as shows or album release parties, anything?
Yeah, I have some really cool shows. I'm playing here tonight in Mobile,
Sweet.
and then I go to Nashville for 2 days to write, and then I'm going to Boone, North Carolina on Wednesday for a release
Sweet.
show, and then Charlotte, North Carolina on Thursday, and then down to Florida, and then I play a week or 10 days of shows in the British Virgin Islands,
Nice.
which
Oh,
is
that's gonna be
cool.
fun.
Yep. And then when I fly back from there, I do like a whole I go like Florida, Nashville, Arkansas, down through Oklahoma City, back through Albuquerque, through Texas. So I got a little run.
Dude, you got a lot going on here. My goodness, I'm glad.
That's like not even to the end of June. That's all like back to back to back to back to back to back.
Are you? Wow. All right. Well, better get used to the hotel life.
Yeah, well, that's all I've been doing. My entire adulthood has been on the road, so it doesn't bother me. It's part of
I get it.
Part of the game.
Well, considering we're like halfway through this year, almost there, and you've obviously accomplished so much so far. What does the next year of your life look like in terms of just like more releases, more touring, anything that you think would like to come up in the next year?
Well, I know I want to make sure we give this album its due.
Yeah, it needs to breathe.
So like I think for the next 2-3 months, it's probably heavily focused on. I mean, I'm already booked and touring everywhere, but I think the idea is we're going to push that heavily. But I'm very happy with my management company, which is Neon Grit.
Okay.
And they've done wonders for me and are continue to do so. So I'll kind of like, I have some ideas of what I want to do beyond that, but like I also like to, just like the musicians in the studio, I've got the people that I trust in the right positions. So I have some suggestions like, hey, one day soon I'd like to maybe work on this French album, or soon I'd like to do that. But you tell me where I need to be next Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of where I'm at. So
I get it.
Near future, we're pushing this album.
Sure.
There will be multiple albums. We're not running out of songs anytime soon.
No, doesn't sound like it. And it sounds like you're also the type of artist that's, I got an idea, I got to sing into my phone real quick, or I got a lyric line, open up the notes app, whatever it might be.
So many, you don't ever want. I don't even know what number the voice memo is up to now. So.
Better to be too creative than.
It's always funny when
my
songwriter buddies always look back on them, and it's always hilarious when you listen back to the ones that at the moment you thought were some brilliant thing nobody ever thought of, but then you listen back and it's like tomorrow's trash day. And you're like,
gotta go through the empty out this phone for a little bit.
Like what could possibly have been the poetry I thought I was going to get out of that? I'm not sure.
That's all right, man. They can't all be winners. They can't.
True.
It's true.
True. But...
I got a couple more for you at this point.
Okay.
But I want to know, what have you been listening to in your free time? And does what you listen to have any direct impact on what you're making?
I love to listen to lots of stuff, lots of different styles of things. I mean, all kind of stuff. Specifically, my friends, the Red Clay Strays, just released an album that is phenomenal. I'm lucky enough that I have the first track on that album I co-wrote with them, and I'm really proud of that. My friend Brendan Mayer has a new album that's awesome. Two of my friends collaborated and put out a single last week. Sarah Peacock and Christy Lee. Nice. They're powerhouses, and you should check. They did a cover of Queen's Under Pressure.
Oh,
and
sweet.
It's like, you're anybody else trying to do that, I would be like, watch out. Or what kind of, you're stepping on hallowed ground. But when I saw the two of them, I was like, Freddie's smiling somewhere, because they're doing it more than doing it justice.
I love it.
And then Carrie Welling, she has she has all her stuff's killer, but she has a song called Monster that's really, really killer, worth checking out. Anyway, all my buddies, I have a lot of buddies, so I don't mean to be elitist and like not listening to the charts. Sometimes I do listen to what's around, but like I just have a lot of really cool buddies.
That's honestly the answer that I was looking for. Anyone can pop on top 40 radio and say that's their favorite, but the fact that you yourself are supporting your fellow artists who happen to be immensely talented, like,
Yeah.
goes to show the type of person you are.
And the guy that's opening the show tonight here,
Hmm.
his name is Ross Newell. He was the lead singer of a
Okay,
band called the Mulligan Brothers.
nice.
But you can, he's the best singer songwriter trap doing it right now to me, in
Very
my opinion.
cool.
As a songwriter lover,
I believe you. I believe
he
you.
is untouchable, and I'm proud to call him my friend. So that was a big get for me, I think, to have him play this show with me. I was like,
Awesome.
I know this is a big ask. And he was like 100% wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Like, he's a sweetheart of a guy. So
Very cool, man.
it was cool.
All right, Eric, I've got one more question for you.
Yeah.
And basically the question is for the person that is going to discover you from this, for the
Yep.
person that's going to listen to your music for the first time, what is an opening message that you'd like to say to them?
I hope you find something in this album that resonates with you in your heart or mind the way it does with me.
Mm-hmm.
Even on the songs like I'm Coming Around or Enough, which I did not write for anybody else but my own self. The beauty of songwriting, like you were asking before, where's the magic? I think the magic is when you accidentally affect people in a positive way. And that sounds weird, but it's like, you can go into a room and say, what do people think? What would somebody else say right here?
Yeah.
And sometimes you come up with great songs and it moves the nation and everybody sings along, and that's great. But to me, it's always interesting when I was like, well, I'm just going to tear my chest open and just sing my heart out for myself.
Yeah.
And then somebody goes, man, like management or whoever goes, that song's amazing. You should put that on an album. And I'm like, are you sure? Like, those are the songs that I never know people are going to resonate with, because that's not where they came from. It was just writing for me. So hopefully any of the songs, I'm proud if anybody wants to sing along with any song that I write, but I hope somebody has that moment where it makes them feel understood or heard, or like they have somebody else that has gone through the same thing.
I confidently think you're fine on that. Like, I think that people, I'm serious, I being totally sincere, I think people will listen and they will make their own connections, but they're going to have a great time listening to this no matter what.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Eric, I want to thank you so much again for taking the time out of your day to do this. And I'd like to plug your music one more time. The album is called Enough. We're going to have links so that people can share and listen and follow and do all that fun stuff. But yeah, man, I hope you have an amazing tonight with your show, and I hope the next month of your life isn't too stressful. But I look forward to hopefully speaking again.
Man, anytime. I would love it. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much again, and take care for now. Bye-bye.